Hi everyone, it's Roger here from What's on Disney Plus, and welcome to this week's live Q&A. So big hello and welcome to everyone for joining either live or on afterwards. So each and every week I answer questions from our Patreon members and also YouTube channel members. Plus also you can use the super chat function as well, all of which help support the channel and the website. Your support really does make a massive amount of difference. All the changes that's been going on to Google, etc. You guys really rock with your support, and I appreciate every single one of you. So we've got plenty of questions. So what I will tend to do is I will jump in and out of the pre-done questions and also the live chat. We've got quite a few people already in the chat. We've got Caleb, we've got Babak, we've got Matt, we've also got Kenan and Miles. So big hello and welcome to all of you, and Bubba Trolling. So thank you so much for all of that. So yeah, so got lots and lots to talk about. As I said, hello there. A little reference there to obviously General Kenobi, and again, what do you want to talk about? Yes, WWE Cody Rhodes superstar. Can't wait. Only about 4 weeks until one of the house shows here in the UK. So get to see that again. I'm looking forward to that one. So let's jump into it. So let's start off. We'll start off with the main topic, and we'll try and keep on that topic there, and I'll jump in and out between the questions. So Miles asks, with Disney completing its acquisition of Comcast's 33% stake in Hulu, what changes do you anticipate going forward for the integration of Hulu into Disney Plus? So if you are unaware, just earlier this week, this was the expected date according to the Disney filing. Disney was going to finalize its completion of its deal to buy out Comcast's stake of Hulu, which was estimated to be around 33%, which was about $8+ billion. Now, last year, Disney did pay like the $8 million that it had agreed to back in 2019 when they came up with this agreement, but there was a bit of an argy-bargy going on between the two companies of how much Hulu was worth. Comcast was thinking it was like 45 billion, 50 billion. It was thinking it was worth as much as humanly possible. And so with that there, what we're going to do is they then decided what the best thing would just be get it out of the way. They had agreements between the two of them, and from there, what's happened is they had to kind of wait until both different parties agreed to the system, and now that's been done. And so now Disney does now fully own Hulu. So the question is, what is going to change? What is going to be the differences? So let's look at this from a couple of different aspects. First off, in the short term, you're probably not going to see a huge difference in Hulu. Disney has been operating and managing Hulu since 2019 fully, so they've kind of had the full run ahead, but they've been unable to they've not really been investing a huge amount in technology or boosting it up, especially internationally, where they kind of decided not to launch it internationally because they didn't want to build the value up. Well, now 6+ years later, things have changed, and I fully suspect that we are going to see eventually Hulu will get merged into Disney Plus. So you have that Hulu hub within Disney Plus, and they can have one single streaming service for all of their entertainment to really be able to go after Netflix and Amazon and YouTube, have all that content in one place, and be like it is than the rest of the world. And that's the key thing here, is that's how pretty much Disney Plus already operates outside of the United States. So it's not like I'm just picking up something and going, well, that's what I'd like to see. It's like, no, they've already done it everywhere else. So it wouldn't makes more sense for them to do it. Have one platform. They can save on money, on the amount of people they're going to have. They can save money on servers, running 2 apps, development teams, drastically reduce the amount of originals. And no doubt you have noticed that we are seeing a lot less Disney Plus originals being released because of just this whole thing of trying to save money. So that's why we're not getting as many Marvel and Star Wars shows. I mean, that's part of it, but they want to save money, and so they can put all that money into the Hulu originals, which feed Disney Plus. That's fine. They have also, let's be honest, they have been drip feeding Hulu into Disney Plus in the United States for the past 18 months now, and slowly been getting the advertising building up. But it was a loophole that they could use to kind of get US subscribers in the United States used to the concept of having Hulu content. Now you can, the whole buzz about having Deadpool or, Death by, all these different shows that are on there. People are more used now to seeing Disney Plus as a general entertainment service. You're seeing all that Hulu content in there. So when they finally pull the trigger, most people in America are just going to be like, well, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? They should have done this. And then they can have one single platform, much easier to promote, much easier to use. Again, and they can still use those Hulu people, you keep the subscribers, move them over, still benefit from moving most of them over onto the ad-supported tier. Win, win, win. That's the key thing. Internationally, I fully suspect we are going to see the Star Hub rebranded into Hulu. That is because they have kind of sold off and made their Star India company into its own separate company with Reliance. They still own it, but the Star brand was a big part of that, and I'm suspecting to make life easier for the whole business and to make it much more sense, it would make then to rebrand the Hulu Hub. We're already starting to see this happen in Canada. So again, this is not a case of me just picking stuff up. They've already started this in Canada, where all the new what was classed as Star Originals are now being called Hulu Originals in Canada, and they are using the Hulu brand now in Canada. So again, we're seeing maybe them testing it there first, see what happens, but I think that's going to be coming. Now, the question is when is that going to happen? Internationally, who knows? It could happen any day. They might just suddenly start tomorrow, the 1st of August, they could just start in the UK. They could just rebrand it or start doing it. Then there probably won't be a big advertising campaign because they don't really need to. I don't think the Star brand really is that big a deal in terms of the branding. They can just rename it to Hulu, run a few social media ads, and most people will just get used to it. Same thing. So that the international thing's not really a massive part of it. It's just it'll make it easier from the idea when they put out a trailer and stuff. They don't have to keep removing the like Hulu logo from the posters and stuff. It'll just be a bit easier. That's one aspect to it. I also think then once they've now got full control over it, it means then they can do the home merger with Fubo Sports in the United States, merge the Hulu Live TV in with Fubo, allowing them then to bring Hulu into Disney Plus. That might be the stepping stone of getting one out to then moving it over. So that's kind of what I'm expecting. In the long run, I am not expecting Hulu to be a single standalone app by the end of 2026. I fully expect it will be gone as a solo app by the end of next year. They're going to probably take a year to do it. Bubba Trolling added, do you expect to hear anything about the Hulu at the quarter conference call, which is about a week or so ago? I would expect we are going to hear a little bit more about it. Kenan says, is Fubo TV going to be rebranded when they buy Hulu's Live TV? No, I think it will go the opposite way. I think Hulu Live TV will just become part of Fubo TV because that way they can separate the Hulu brand from the Live TV. Babak says, on the most recent announcements, it says watch on ABC and stream on Hulu instead of next day on Hulu. Could this mean they're finally going to do same-day releases? Maybe. Sorry, Kenan, it's just me. That's just my reading. I'm reading it fast and I'm making mistakes, so I do apologize. Matt says, I think with Hulu merging, it'll be a big game changer for Disney Plus. They'll have more general content. And I think this is the difference, that it's going to have a big difference with how it works in the United States. It's the biggest market. It's the one that makes the most sense for them to do it. And they have been running this already around the world. And this is the key thing for me is we've already seen it happen everywhere else. So it just makes sense now for Hulu, or the US version has been kind of held up because of the Hulu situation. Miles says, I think the Disney Hulu deal, in addition to more general content, will allow the Disney company to use the Hulu name internationally since replacing Star. I 100% agree. 100% agree. I'm just going to stay on this topic just for a minute on this one. Kenan says there will remain status quo for the time being to evaluate the current strategy before they make some tweaks. Yeah, I'm not expecting anything too quickly on that. Kenan says, I know a lot of the news being fully owned by Disney got lost in the source on the date of the completion due to the megastar of the 80s. Yeah, and I to be honest, I don't think it was necessarily a case of it got lost in the shuffle. Disney and didn't really, there was not really any press announcement, and it's kind of that catch-22. There wasn't really any official details coming out, so there wasn't really much to talk about. But obviously, Hulk Hogan passing away is a big thing. As a wrestling fan, since I was, well, what was I been? Probably 6 or 7. I used to go down to my local video shop, and that's what it was called, the video shop, on the corner of my street. And I used to go in there and I used to rent WWF tapes, all of which would feature Hulk Hogan on the cover, and all the WrestleManias and SummerSlams and Survivor Series. I would rent those tapes and all the, you know, and I grew up as a WWF. WCW wasn't really a big thing for me. Didn't really watch it as a kid. I don't think it was even really on as much, but I was a huge WWF. I had action figures with Hulk Hogan and the toy and everything. So I was always a big wrestling fan. I've been lots and lots of times. I will say I feel very blessed the fact that I got to see him a few times in action at WrestleMania. I got to see him at WrestleMania 18, face The Rock. 19, I think that was Hulk Hogan. Oh, he was facing Mr. McMahon. And at 21, I think it was, who was he? He went into the Hall of Fame in 21. And I can't think of who he faced. I'm getting old. Anyway, let's see what else we've got just on this topic. Here's my take from Kenan. This purchase of that Hulu stand is gone. I think it's going to take a while. Yep, they're waiting for the Fubo. I think Caleb, you are spot on with them. They're going to have to wait until that Fubo TV deal is done before they could do it. Ricardo says most likely we will know more on the investors call about Hulu's plans, but it's almost certain they'll announce an international expansion. Babak says I think they'll save the big announcement for investors aid to help raise the stock prices. And this is a very much a thing that we need to be aware of, that Disney tends to hold this kind of information back for those investor day calls, because and the day that the quarterly results come out, because they want investors to buy stock. And that news isn't going to excite the general core audience. It's going to excite investors and, you know, nerds like me. So that's definitely going to be something that they'll do to do that. Yeah. Kayla says, I think Fubo will get a green and black rebranding. I'm not sure. I don't know if they might keep on the whole orange thing just to stay away from it. Okay, let's jump into some other questions. Caleb says, what are your takeaways from Kevin Feige's conference call regarding the state of Marvel Studios? So I did do a video earlier in the week where I did talk about this in a bit more depth, but to be honest, none of it really surprised me, because it's kind of all the stuff we've been expecting here for a while. They are cutting back on what they're making. They're going to be trying to cut the budgets of movies as well. Apparently he was talking to the people that created The Creator, and I think we're going to start seeing smaller scale movies. Some of the special effects are going to start becoming less. I think anything with big special effects will probably end up being cut down in terms of how many scenes they're going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more on stage, in person sort of suits. Maybe you've got SpiderMan running around in his suit and then they just, you know, put his face on afterwards. But more practical effects is probably going to be cheaper. I think ultimately going forward, I think we need to get used to the idea that in terms of Marvel on Disney Plus, this year is the year where they are just throwing out everything that's in the can is being thrown out. So Wonder Man, Ironheart, Zombies, and Eyes of Wakanda are all just being thrown out this year to get it all out the way. Next year, we're getting Daredevil Born Again, season 2 in March. And obviously, I think we're getting Spider-Man and X-Men 97. I fully suspect we'll get another seasons the following year, because they've already announced that they've been renewed. And I think both of those shows will get done at the end of 2027, because when they do Secret Invasion and clear out the multiverse, they can get rid of both of those cartoons and kind of write them off as multiverse stories, and then just move on, and then maybe have a brand new cartoon, something like that. That's my prediction on that. Live action series, I think we'll get Daredevil next year. I don't think we're going to get Vision Quest until either the end of 2026 or maybe even 2027. He said that we might be going down to one show a year, and I would not be at all surprised if Vision Quest is the 2027 series. Give them time to work on it. Also, let me know what you guys thought of the comments this week about it. Babek says, I watched Fantastic Four. I thought it was great. I felt like there was too much packed in. They should have made Fantastic Four and split it up into some of the stories. So I did go and watch it Thursday morning. I was there at the cinema at 8:30 in the morning because that's when I like to go. I like to go before all, not going to say it, but I do like to go before all the Americans wake up so I can basically, I get up, don't go on social media. I can go see the movie, watch it, with then knowing that I'm not, because I avoid all the trailers, all the clips, everything, so I can get in there, see it, and so none of it gets spoiled for me. So that's my own personal trick for dealing with Marvel movies. I just like to get in before the Americans wake up. It seems to be working, and then because my it will just go bonkers afterwards. So that's how I did it. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. As far as it being too much packed in, it was quite a lot. It was quite a short movie, really, and I quite liked it actually. I thought the pacing was good. I thought that it didn't feel like overlong and bloated. I disagree on the fact of it being too much packed in, because there was basically one core story, and that was Galactus, and I like that about it, and that was the core element of it. Yeah, they could, and I think the trouble is, as well as us as fans, maybe we've got a little bit too used sometimes to maybe some of the shows where we've got used to having much more time and having 2, 3, 4, 5 hours to tell a story rather than trying to get it over and done with in less than 2 hours. And I think that's where Marvel is better at. Keep it tight, keep it short, keep it fun and entertained. Because I think that was one of the things I personally felt like Superman was a little bit bloated with too many characters and stuff going on, but both fantastic movies. But yeah, Superman and Fantastic Four. That is one heck of a double punch for comic book movies. And I mean, they were both heads and tails above everything else that I've seen for a while. I mean, I know there's been a lot of talk about Marvel being bad, and I thought Thunderbolts was good, but Fantastic Four it just felt refreshing. Because I just liked it. I thought it was good. And I said, I loved Superman. So I very much love that movie as well. Basil says, have people become more selective on what film they're going to go pick to watch theatrically, and what films do they choose to wait on streaming releases? 100%. Let's just say, like, in terms of us watching right here, how many of us go to the cinema less? I know I don't go to the cinema as much as I used to. I am a little bit more picky about what movie. I will look at a trailer and go, "Oh wait," and I will make an instant decision of whether or not a movie is cinema, whether or not I rent it, or whether or not I wait for streaming. I am lucky enough with Disney that they do tend to send me the digital copies to do reviews of. So like this afternoon, me and my wife, we watched Lilo and Stitch. We watched a new one of that one. So there is that kind of thing of I do get to see the Disney ones digitally, like when they come out. And I think that does sometimes make me hold off a little bit, because I know that I don't have to wait too long. Like Freaky Friday, for example, is a movie. I'll probably get to watch it on digital probably in September. So I probably won't bother going. It's not a movie. It wouldn't be a movie I'd go see in the cinema. But that would be one I'd wait for Disney Plus for. There are just movies where I want to wait, and it's funny because like the recent Jurassic Park one, that was one I was like, I wouldn't mind seeing it in cinemas. But now I've waited. I will rent it. Probably when it reaches about £5. I'm not going to rent it 16, 17 quid. That's way too expensive. I usually wait until they get down to £5 and then I'll rent them. And there are some that I will just wait and wait for Disney Plus. I think Predator Badland, I think that might be one I will go see. Avatar will be a straight up, I will be there. First viewing for Avatar Fire and Ash. That's going to be good. Good. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know what else is coming out this year that's kind of caught my eye, but those ones. Oh, Tron. I'll go see Tron. But 100% people are being very much more picky because it costs so much to go to the cinema now. It costs so much. Right, let's keep here. Babak says you go to 5 to 10 movies a month. That's because I have the Regal Pass and I save a ton, $25 a month for unlimited movies. See, this is where you've got yourself into a fantastic position. You go to the cinema, by that rest, maybe twice a week. And that is really good. And I think, to be fair, if my local cinema offered a similar package, I think I probably would do the same. I probably would go at least once a week. If I could buy a subscription and I could go every as much as I wanted, I think I probably would go a lot more. I'd definitely, if I had a subscription, I would have gone and seen Jurassic Park, and I would definitely be making more of an effort to go if I knew I was like, well, I'm paying for it anyway. And I mean, for $25, what do you have to see? Two a month to make it worthwhile? Kenan says, what's the reason why you would sometimes wait for some movies to go to Disney Plus and why you want to see them theatrically? So I think there's a couple of things. First off, do I want to? Is it worth me spending any money? Is it worth me spending any money? Can I be bothered? Now that might sound strange, but if I have to get up, drive to the cinema, park up, I have to pay for parking. Ironically, the parking usually costs me more than the cinema ticket, and then I see it, and then I have to come back, and obviously, it is a bit of a, you have to make the effort. You have to make the effort to go to the movies, and that's obviously a big thing. Now, I'm lucky enough; I will try and go on. I usually try and go on my day off, on a Friday morning or a Thursday morning. I would usually be like, right, that's what I'm going to do. But if you've got a family, suddenly now it's going to be a lot more expensive. But sometimes as well, it's just I'll see a movie and it's like, I'll just wait. I'm not that bothered about it. I mean, maybe that's because, everyone's going to be a little bit different on that one. Aaliyah says, Ruth, theater goers have an impact. I decided that a movie is worth that, plus possibly missing some of it for a WC visit. Yeah, I mean, definitely. I'm not going to lie. When there's like a 3-hour movie, there is that element of you start getting to that age where you start going, do I need to pee in the middle of it? I mean, I was sat there. I remember watching Superman last week, and people came in front of me with these big sodas and popcorn, and I'm like, if I drank that amount of soda, I'd have to go to the pit. I'd have to pee like 3 times during this movie. There's me with my bottle of water that I brought from the car. I'm not buying the £4 bottle of water from the cinema. I was like, yeah, no chance I could do that. Rude theatre. I will say, I think because I tend to go cinema, like at 8:30, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, I don't tend to have that problem because I tend to go like usually maybe like when the schools are in, or people don't tend to want to go to the cinema at like first thing in the morning. So you're only really getting the diehard fans, and then there is zero chance I would go this afternoon on a Sunday afternoon or a Saturday afternoon to my local theater and watch a movie. No chance. Because I know the kids, and it'll just be a mess. Thank you very much, Miles, for your super chat. Thank you so much for your continued support. It says, in your opinion, what changes on the horizon regarding Paramount Pictures after the Paramount Skydance merger is completed on August 7th? So I think we're going to see some major changes. I think you're going to see a drastic cutback on the amount of stuff they're making. I think they're going to be pushing for franchises and established IP. They're probably going to be dropping the budgets of these movies. They are probably... I'm still not convinced of what they're going to do with Paramount Plus. The fact that they just signed a 5-year deal with the South Park creators does, to me, indicate that Paramount Plus will be hanging around for a while. However, they have been talking about... I don't know if they're going to start closing down international channels, whether or not Paramount Plus even just they pack it up internationally and just start licensing content out. But we're going to see a drastic reduction for a couple of years while they try and reclaw all that money. A bit like with Disney after Fox, a bit like Disney after Discovery. But again, thank you so much for your support for that. That is fantastic. He says, I remember mentioning to some VAs that I went to see Dragon Ball Superhero in this morning, and one of them was surprised. Then again, can understand since not everyone can make the effort. I think that's the big thing. It's making the effort. And there is that other thing as well. And I keep saying this. If you can sit in your comfortable seat at home and you've got a massive, if you've got a big television with a decent system, sound system, it's good. It's really good. It's just good. It's good enough to watch movies. And I think this is where, like, especially now, so many of us, and maybe especially if you younger people might not necessarily be, under the illusion of the fact of, when I was a lad, when I was 18 years old, in my bedroom, I had a 14-inch television. Okay. And I had a VHS. So anything I wanted to watch, and movies used to take sometimes up to 2 years to get released to buy at home. You didn't get them within months. You had to wait a long time. You also had to watch it on a tiny little screen, which is not really much bigger than probably a laptop. It's probably, basically, if all you could watch movies on at home was on your laptop, on a laptop or a tablet screen, would you go to the cinema more? Or would you? And that's the key thing. But when I can sit at home, big screen, it's just so comfortable. Kenan says, have you ever heard of $5 Tuesdays back in my local theater and state we have it? So we don't have $5 Tuesdays. We have Meerkat Wednesdays, and they also have Meerkat Tuesdays, kind of falls into it. So as long as you get as long as you take out an insurance policy through the compare the market, they would give you half price cinema tickets, 2 for 1 or half price. I can't remember what it was. Sometimes it was cheaper to buy the workaround is if you buy a single day travel insurance for like £3, you would then get enough. You would then be able to get and qualify to get Meerkat movies. When I was a lad, Wednesdays used to be a cheap day again because people are less likely to go to the cinema on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I know in the US they're bringing it back. We've had that for decades. It's always been a thing as far as I know. I suppose I could do that, but it does. I mean, my local is like £5, £6, £7 for a ticket, depending on what seat it is. Not gonna lie, I don't understand why I'd want to pay £7 for the seat that's just 2 rows back and is exactly the same. It's not like it's a case of it's a luxury seat and it's wider and it's more comfortable and it's £2 more. I'd do it. But if it's literally the same seat, just 2 rows back, I don't quite see the point of why I would want to pay 2 more. But nevertheless, Warner Brothers after Discovery. Yeah, is that one not what I said? That's what I thought I said. Babatronic says I'll maybe go see Fantastic Four. I would say yes. I would say definitely go there. Babak says I think Disney needs to work with theaters like our Regal and AMC to get discounted tickets for Disney Plus members. They have done that in the past. So I'm just going to go to the top, see if I've missed any questions. Matt says, do you think Hulu will merge before ESPN on Disney Plus? Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think ESPN going into Disney Plus is happening anyway next month in full terms. I don't think we're going to see a full merger of ESPN into Disney Plus maybe for years, depending on what happens with Amazon and Netflix and the competition. Disney might get to a point where they've got to include ESPN because they've lost so much sports rights and therefore it's a lot cheaper. Miles says, since Brian Roberts is expected to step down as CEO of Paramount Pictures when the Paramount Skydance merger is completed on August 7th, who could take over as the head of the studio? Likely candidates include Alan Bergman. If he agrees to lead the new company studio, he'll have to talk with Disney's leaders on exit. I don't think he'll be going anywhere. Alan. As far as who it is, I wouldn't like to say. I don't really pay a huge amount of attention to the executives. Let's see what other ones we've got here. Kenan says, you know that what I notice is that when I watch throwbacks creative playlists, it's mostly the same schedule every day. Well, that's it. It's lazy programming. It's not. It is just scheduled. I've just set it out, and that doesn't surprise me there. Matt says, what do you think is going to draw more people to subscribe to Disney Plus? A cheap ad-supported tier price is the key thing. If they keep that price low enough with ads, people will do it. And that's what the key thing is. They can't get too greedy with that ad-supported tier because they want people to watch it and get the ads tiers. They want the viewership numbers. They get more advertising. They want more people on it. So if they can get Disney Plus with ads with Hulu for $9.99 or $10.99 and keep that price, I mean, I think they should go lower. Here in the UK, it's $4.99. That's the sweet point to get them in. I think they need to do more promotions, and that's how you're going to get people to sign up long-term on that ad-supported tier, giving it cheap. But to keep people, you need constant new content, and I think that's where the Hulu side and the ESPN, people are going to feel like there's enough content with all of it combined. There's enough content there, I think, to fuel Disney Plus to be relevant. Original programming is important, but having Grey's Anatomy and The Rookie and all that lot is probably more important than an original. And I think when you've got all of it combined, that's where it is. And again, streamlining Disney in America. Let's just see what we've got. Kenny says, well, we can talk about Happy Gilmore 2. We can talk about WWE Legends and Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne. I mean, that was sad. I mean, again, they're both guys were in their 70s. So it's not like, obviously it's unexpected. I think as well the way the internet is and stuff, it was kind of weird with Hulk Hogan. It was on the radio when I was driving home, which was kind of weird. Ozzy Osbourne, I did enjoy the Osbourne's TV series where he made years ago. But Hulk Hogan was much bigger. It had a much bigger impact on my life. The huge impact that's still kind of there today. He was one of my icon idols, growing up. Hulk Hogan was, I mean, he was so big. It's hard to explain. Khaled also said, I saw Fantastic Four in cinemas yesterday. It felt new and innovative after a long time. Well done, Matt. Babek says, now that Disney fully owns Hulu, I feel like Disney Plus is about to pop off. The other streamers need to watch out. Yeah, I think the combined thing is really going to be a big boost. Khaled says, I remember during the commercials from the Weather Channel, the Disney Plus throwback advertisement featuring the Golden Girls and Full House, again, trying to reach that core audience. Kenan says, I wish WWE would bring back TV 14, but they need to have younger audiences too. I get why people are a little. I think they push the boundaries much more there anyway. And usually, I don't know. I think actually I think the way it is right now is actually a good counterbalance because it can go a little bit. Because I saw some clips from like the AEW with was it John Moxley's, and it's like that's too barbaric, I think, for mainstream people. And I don't know, I think like swearing. I think that the way they're talking to it and the way that social media is being used, I don't know. I don't think it's a big problem right now. Ricardo says, with the problems of Paramount Skydance merger, do you think big mergers will have problems to get through? I think any big merger is going to have a big problem in the next 3.5 years, maybe. Yes, because especially if they're on, if they're on the president's radar, it's going to be a lot harder. If you're not on the radar and you may be small enough, you might be able to squeak through for a couple, backhanders and stuff. You probably get it through. But yeah, I think I think any big ones, unless they're willing to, give something over to the president, they're not going to be able to get something through. Kenan says, do you think I should rename my YouTube account? No, it's not. It's not you. It's me. I'm just really bad at reading. It's just I see one word and my brain thinks another. So Suna says, so now that Disney fully owns Hulu, when do you think the merge will fully happen? I think they're going to announce it either at the next quarterly results in August, or they might wait until the next one in, when would it be? Maybe October, November, to get the juice out of it. And I fully expect there will be a year to 18 months before they fully close down the Hulu app. Okay, so as I would say, Feige is far more media savvy than Triple H, since he later constantly says something dumb. I think there's a little bit of a difference. I think Kevin Feige is more controlled with what he says, and he doesn't come out very often and say stuff. And I also think wrestling is much more looser. Much more looser. Babak says, movie-wise, the next Marvel movie is 1 year away. Do you think Marvel will try to add another movie between now and July 20? No. This is exactly what they need to do. Less. They need to make it feel special, because the next one coming out, I think, is going to be Spidey, unless it gets delayed. But if we don't have another Marvel movie until December 2026, 18 months away, that is good. We need time. We need the audience to feel ready that when it comes back, it feels special again. That feeling of do, 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 do. So you know that it's going to feel amazing, rather than it feeling like an episode of EastEnders where there's a new music, there's a new episode every day. We need that special. Aaliyah says, I might be wrong, but I thought Feige indicated one live action series a year, exception that could maybe another series of an established years. Both Daredevil and Vision could happen. I do think we could see both, but I'm also very much aware of the fact that I wouldn't be surprised if Vision did get bumped into maybe late 2026, early 2027, kind of a bit like Wonder Man, to go over both years. It's just that kind of thing of like, what else are they filming? What's coming up? We don't know anything at the minute. We don't know of any, the days of them announcing loads of stuff in advance isn't happening. So they might not film another TV series for like another year. Maybe they do the Young Avengers or the Champions. I don't know if they will. I'm not entirely sure if they will do. They might just abandon the whole thing and be like, no, Daredevil and the Defenders and the street level stuff are Disney Plus, and that's where we're going. I don't know. I wouldn't, and I'm just not. I think Vision might be one of the last big TV series that they bring out. And as Babak says, the heart will make the heart, or the absence will make the heart grow fonder. Matt says, I need to add more classic content. I know this gets brought up a lot, and it gets brought up every single day with comments of people asking about Buzz Lightyear and House of Mouse and all the rest of it. And I say this so many times, of I would love it to be there. I think it's a mistake that they aren't adding legacy content each and every week. I think they should have a team putting together classic movies and shows, and they should be dropping that stuff on there every single week, because that is the one thing that Netflix doesn't have. It's the thing that Apple doesn't have. Use the history. Use it. But the simple truth is, hardly anyone cares. Nobody cares about this stuff. And that's the honest truth. They could put House of Mouse on there. How many people are actually going to watch it? That's the big thing, really. The audience for this stuff is much smaller than we realize. I think the gap is good. I could see them re-releasing old movies, maybe. Babak says, comic book lovers ate this. Yeah, we had a really good month. Mara says, in your opinion, could you compare the Fantastic Four first steps to the earlier duology or the Josh Trank film? Look, let's not bring the 2015 movie into this. That was awful. Let's put that one. That one should have been like literally if there was ever an excuse for doing a write-off like Batgirl, that one would have been it. It was awful. I always had a little bit of a soft. I always liked that first Fantastic Four film. I thought it was lovely. It was easy. The thing is when that movie came out, expectations for comic book movies were much, much, much less. It wasn't like it was now. Where back then, comic book movies were still kind of fun, family-friendly affair, and yeah, I mean, I thought it was fun. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. Let's see what we've got here. Kelly says, I agree with Basil. I've become more selective with going to the cinema since the pandemic. I know that since 2021, I've attended cinema screenings in the morning out. Yeah, like I said, I always tend to go in the morning. Babak says, Disney has earned about $3.19 billion at the boxes so far this year, and they still have 8 movies coming out. How much do you think they'll make by the end of the year? 6 billion, maybe 7. I would be surprised if Avatar doesn't do between 1.5 and 2 billion. I'm bringing my expectations for Avatar down to 1.5. If it hits 1.5 billion, I think that would be good. I mean, that's a hell of a target to hit. No other movies are hitting it, but I think trying to hit 2.5 billion is going to be hard for Avatar. But I think, having seen the trailer during Fantastic Four, I am really excited for that movie. So that's going to at least pop it up. I don't know really of like what. I mean, we got Zootopia 2, haven't we? So Zootopia 2 could be $1 billion movie. So put those two together as another. Yeah, mate. I'm not sure if Tron is going to do very well. Have they got anything else coming out? Yeah, I would say maybe 7 billion. 7 billion. Keep it on the slow side. Matt says, will we see some more Sony movies in the US on Disney Plus? I mean, I think you'll see more when the Hulu side comes in, but we've not. Again, I think the trouble is we're just in that weird point where it's all being funneled through the Hulu side. Babak says, I also think they need to add free channels like they do on Pluto and Roku. Use that to bring people in, and hopefully they'll upgrade to add to. I personally have that feeling of like, if I was thinking now of like with Disney Plus, I'd be like, right, we're going to make streams and we're going to go all in on streams, have 40 to 60 streams, all with ads, have them all with ads. That's just how the platform works. And as you say, you have them available for free. Maybe you go, okay, 20 of them are for free, 460 of them are for every subscriber. Maybe you could kind of half and half it, offer, and then you can have like a Marvel and a Star Wars one with a new series and stuff. You could be a bit bigger. But as you say, but on those free channels, you put more ads in. Just throw more ads in. I 100% agree. Matt says, do you think someone will sell Spider-Man back to Marvel? I would love it to be, but I don't know if Sony will. But do you think that Disney could make a deal with Major League Baseball for something like that to put it back on ESPN? I wouldn't be too surprised if some of these sports deals we start seeing, again, little packages being made. The baseball teams or companies also want to reach a bigger audience because they need them for ticket sales and merchandise. Matt C says, with the Avatar trailer being exclusive to theaters for limited times, do you think more trailers can receive this treatment to entice more people to go to the theaters? Yeah, I mean, the only thing is for me is it does kind of feel a bit like you kind of, how many dodgy versions of that trailer are now online? But then maybe they didn't want to take the steam away from Fantastic. I mean, that movie looks fantastic. Matt also said, after the Hulu and the ESPN merge, what do you think next is he's going to do? I think it's just going to be more consolidation, just bringing everything a bit more together. Let's jump back into the pre-done questions because I realize I've not done a lot of them yet. Kenan says, so I heard there'll be a new Airbud film called Airbud Returns releasing next year. Is it too soon to have a theatrical release after this announcement? Probably not, but the thing is, Airbud aren't made by Disney. They were just licensed by Disney, so it depends. They're probably maybe going to try and get hold of it, I would hope. But again, they might have just put it out there because they're looking for someone to buy it. Babak says, Disney showed the first 5 minutes, first look clips of Fantastic Four on Disney Plus. Should Disney do that with all movies as well? Personally, no. I think we're at a point where they're giving too much away. I think there's too many clips, too much stuff happening, and I think that's a problem. I think they're giving too much of these movies away, which is puts people off rather than sends people to go. I don't know. I personally feel like releasing too many clips before a movie is not good. I won't watch a clip of a movie before I go see it, because then when it's like, if you, I think, it's like, watch the first 15 minutes of a movie. It's like, well, then when I'm watching the movie, I'm watching for 15 minutes going, I've already seen this. I just don't like it. Bobak says, what do you think Disney needs to do to overtake YouTube for total TV viewership? I actually find this to be a little, I do this with like the Nielsen Gorge and stuff. I don't really agree that YouTube should be classed in the same bracket as Netflix and Amazon and Disney Plus, etc. Because I don't think they are in the same business. I know it's creating content and they put ads in front of it. So yes, and I watch a lot of YouTube on TV. Okay. The thing is now, is all of that content that's being put up on YouTube is being created by us. Right now, I am streaming straight onto YouTube. And that's what I do. I put videos up. I can't put them onto Amazon and Netflix and Disney Plus. The stuff that goes onto those platforms are made, high quality drama series and so on. Now, you could argue that some stuff like, I don't know, like Mr. Beast and stuff, and maybe, they are higher budget stuff. But the stuff I watch on YouTube is stuff that you can't watch on linear or on Netflix or anything like that. It's like I'm watching. Sorry, I knew that was coming. It was going to come. So yeah, so like watching on YouTube. So I'm watching like after I do this one, I'm going to watch Beard Meets Food. Him eating some massive amount of food. That'll be what I'll watch, and I'll be watching probably some Warhammer content. There'll be some like battle report or some news that I want to watch. I might be watching some other kind of like news, maybe. I tend to watch a little bit of wrestling. So wrestling is the only thing I would say. I watch like wrestling, and I watch like some of the daily shows. So I do watch some of that content that they put out onto YouTube because it's a more convenient format. It's like, for me, I'd much rather watch the highlights of Raw and SmackDown and NXT on YouTube the day after than sit through the 3-hour presentation on Netflix, because that's 3 hours, or I can watch the best bits in half an hour. That's why I can keep up with all 3 shows, because I can cherry pick the best bits. It's like the late night talk shows. I can watch the monologue of Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, and maybe also Seth Meyers, but I don't want to watch the whole show. So that's format. And I just don't think you can compare YouTube in terms of like the content and go, oh, it's got more hours. Well, why aren't we comparing it to Fortnite? Why don't we compare it to, Amazon Books or Spotify, or, it's like YouTube is a completely different type of content maker. They have a completely different business model. YouTube isn't making any content. It doesn't own its, and also, do you get stories or drama series or anything like that on there? There probably is some, but in my terms of what I see on YouTube, I don't get that. I don't, you're not getting a nice I've like this week, I've just watched, was it Untamed on Netflix, a fantastic series. Just finished The Gold on BBC. You're not going to get that stuff on YouTube. There's a different type of content, but I'm also not going to find out the latest news about, what happened in the news of like 40K or Disney Lorcana, or, something else that I'm interested on. I don't know. I just feel like I don't see how we can compare the two. And I don't think it's even they're not even in the same business. I don't know. It's just, for me, it feels a bit weird. It's like YouTube and the rest are apples and oranges. YouTube is user generated. However, I know shows like Hot Ones are sub-licensed to Hulu and Disney Plus, which makes sense since it's long-form content. I do get like taking some of the popular, there are stuff on YouTube which is kind of, you could move it over to television. Hot Ones, I don't mind. But again, with Hot Ones, it depends who's on it. There are just different kind of things. A lot of the stuff that we watch is like podcasts, hour-long podcasts, which would never exist on traditional television, which is why YouTube built up, because it's all about stuff that you maybe don't watch. I've got a load of video game channels that I'll watch about different video games. The latest WWE SmackDown, or the latest WWE video game news, or the latest Destiny 2 news, or just general gaming news, or Magic the Gathering, or this kind of stuff you just don't get on there. And it is, I don't know, it just feels very, very, very different. I'm just going to keep going through these pre-done questions. Aaliyah says, instead of investing in the new Cinderella series, should Disney do more with the Tiana? Yet it seems, considering what happened to the Tiana series. I think there's a little bit of confusion with this Cinderella series. It's not Disney's Cinderella. It's Rodgers and Hammerstein's. So it's a musical, and it's a very different story, and it's going to be live action. It's going to be cheap to make. Let's be honest. It's going to be cheap to make. I don't want them making a cheap Tiana, because Tiana and, Princess and the Frog and all the rest of it, that is a Disney IP franchise, and I love the music. I love it all. Cinderella is a generic fairy tale, which anyone could. You could make a Cinderella movie or a series, because it's open. There is no IP on it, and I think there is that difference of there. It's not Cinderella. A lot of us think of it as Disney, but it's not a specifically just Disney franchise. Kayla says, what are your thoughts on the WWE screening of SummerSlam at Regal Cinemas as part of their new partnership with Fandango? I think this is good. Many, many years ago, I think it was Survivor Series 2002, I think it was. I was out in Toronto. I'd gone out there because I'd been out to see WrestleMania in Toronto earlier in the year, and I'd only had like 4 days in Toronto. And at the time, my best friend at the time didn't save any money for the WrestleMania. So we got there, and then it was like we had to literally, we couldn't eat. We had to go to McDonald's and Burger King because they didn't have any money. And so therefore, we couldn't do anything. And I remember getting home and thinking, I've been to Canada for the first time in my life and seen Toronto, and we went to the CN Tower, and it's like, I didn't get to see anything. And I felt like I'd been like robbed. So that's why I went back 6 months later and kind of like did Niagara Falls and went off, explored a little bit more of Ontario. And at the time, they had near the hotel, they were showing Survivor Series in the cinema. And for me, this was an insane concept. You mean I can go to cinema to watch a wrestling event? Hell yeah. So I went along. And also it was quite good because at the time, WWE had a store down in Niagara Falls. So I was able to fill my suitcase full of new T-shirts for work and so on. And loved it. Absolutely loved it. A fantastic experience. Because again, here in the UK, the WWE shows start at like 2 o'clock in the morning. So it was always that kind of thing of, it's never a thing to do. You wouldn't do it here in the UK. I mean, now that's the one benefit of having the international shows like in Saudi Arabia and like in Paris, etc. We get to see them live. It's great. In the evening, we didn't have that for decades, other than the WWE pay-per-view ones, most of which the UK ones I'd try and go to anyway. But yeah, I go do it. It's either with people, you're watching it. I've done it. Like I said, I did it a long time ago. I thought it was fantastic. Glad to see them bringing it back. And also, I think it's good from a cinema point of view. I did notice when I was at the cinema the other day, they were putting like Andre Rieu concerts, Shakespeare in the Play concerts. They do those kind of things quite a lot more, trying to get people in. Kenan says, is the new Cinderella live action series animated? It's live action. Again, it's not made by Disney. It's just being licensed by them. Miles says he recently saw Fantastic Four with his brother, and we both thought it was fantastic. It was marvelous. What are your thoughts on the film, and do you think MCU is back? Well, the MCU never went anywhere. It's this whole thing of MCU's back, MCU's dead, MCU's back, MCU's dead. I mean, it's exhausting. okay, we've had a few rough things, but there's so much stuff. I mean, I thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. I loved the chemistry between all the characters. That was the thing that was so good about it, was that the relationship between the four family members was so good, and it just worked. I just really enjoyed it. Bubba Trolling says, what are your predictions for the release date for ESPN direct to consumer? When is the first game of NFL season? 2025. So I'm not sure about the preseason. So the NFL's new season kicks off on September the 4th, and the college football season kicks off on August the 23rd. So that would be, my guess, will be the week before the college football. So maybe in about 3 weeks' time. Kenan says the MCU is really all over the place right now. They have some movies that are box office successes and some that are box office bombs. How does this affect the Avengers 5 and 6? I think the Avengers will have the advantage of it being an Avengers movie. It'll have bigger stars in it. It will feel more important. And also, it's going to be a year between each movie. So therefore, and it will feel like an event. And this is what we want from cinema. People want to go because it feels an event. They want to be in on the action. They want to be part of it. And that is what this movie is going to offer. And there's a lot of characters in there. And that's the big difference. And I have got no doubt that Avengers will be a $1 billion movie, because people are going to want to go see it. People are going to want to see what's happening, and they're going to have all the characters, and it will be an event. Unfortunately, I do think Captain America and Thunderbolts essentially wrapped up Phase 5. Phase 5 kind of was the leftovers of the Chapek era of what they put in. They tried to salvage it, but I think both Thunderbolts and Captain America really struggled with the fact that they were so connected with Disney Plus series that the general audience didn't understand and didn't care for it. I do think the Thunderbolts, while I thought it was a fantastic film and I really enjoyed it, it didn't have the big A-list kind of character on the front that made you want to go see it. As much as I think Florence Pugh is a big enough character, they needed to be someone bigger in it. You know, maybe if they had Hawkeye or just something, they needed some of the bigger characters in there. Babak says, do you think Disney will do more live streams of premiere events? If so, what other movies should they be done? I mean, personally, I don't know. Is it worth it? I think it's going to come down to how many people actually watched it. Was it worth doing? They are putting on these events at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. If they are filming it, can they do it? The big question is going to come down to how many people does it take and how much does it cost to put the live stream on, and how many people are watching it, and are they able to sell ads on it? If they can't make it a profit, then don't bother. Jumping back into the live comments. Matt, thank you very much for your super chat. Why doesn't Netflix release movies in theaters? So I think there is a couple of reasons for this. First off, Netflix has an entirely different business model. It is all about getting you to go in and subscribe and keep subscribed. They are not a classic studio in the same way that Disney and Comcast and Warner Brothers have been releasing movies in cinemas for 100 plus years. It's the business that they know. It's the business they know makes money, and they keep doing it. Netflix is trying something different, and you could say it works. People check out these movies. I also think as well, the question is, how many of these movies would you actually go to the cinema to watch? Now, Electric Slate, whatever it was, that was a movie I watched on Netflix. Wouldn't have gone to cinema to see it, but I'll check it out. Happy Gilmore 2. I'm going to check it out at some point this week. But it's not a movie I'd go see at the cinema, and that's the quality isn't there in the same way. Apple I think have realized, because when they brought out with their movies, and MGM and Amazon, they're both looking at it. They've kind of looked at it and gone, why is Disney and, you know, all the other studios doing theatrical, but you know, they've realized that there's money to be made. And also, I think the studio execs not believing in theatrical. It's not the business they're in. They're in a business of selling a streaming service. That is what their entire business is about. Disney and Comcast and Warner Brothers are not one-trick ponies. They have got multiple levels of getting money coming in. I'm just going to go up here and see what we've got. See if I didn't miss any ones. Kenan says Disney can't put all its legacy on its streaming service, but I agree they should put some more. Yeah, I definitely think they need to put more on there. What do you think the name of the new Warner Brothers cable companies will be called? I don't know. Warner Brothers Discovery +1. I don't know. It's not going to be anything exciteful. It's not going to be anything exciting. It's going to be the bare minimum that they have to do. Revive Turner. I don't know. I don't think they're that interested in history, to be honest. I think Disney should have a game collection section. What, get shows based on video and movies based on video games? Have they got that many? Matt says with Disney Plus significantly cutting down on original content, I think adding more classic content would help at least give the illusion that they're steadily adding content. This is where I would disagree, because it's the Hulu stuff that's filling up Disney Plus every day. That's what's bringing in the customers. That's what's bringing in the content. That's what people are watching. Look at it this way. In terms like Nielsen or this trending or anything like that, how much of the legacy content is doing well? Let's take away the movies, because the movies sometimes do have, like Moana and Lilo and Stitch have like a big boost, but things like the Muppets and so on, they didn't bring in the viewership. It's the Hulu side that's bringing in the daily content, the documentaries. Mara says, what do you think of the new extended scene for Predator Killer of Killers? I haven't watched it. I'm not going to lie. I did feel like it was a little bit like just drop it on people and expect us to, like, all right. I've sort of did an article about it and I was like, wow, they're really burying the lead here at this point about there being an extended scene. I don't know. I mean, it was a good film. I enjoyed it, but I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm that excited or that in a rush to go and see it, being honest. Miles says Disney has Ella McKay, Rental Family, and Springsteen set to release this year. Yeah, but I will be doubtful if those three pull in more than 300 million across the board between the three of them. If they can pull in 300-400 million between them, that'll be a big hit, surprise. They're just not big enough movies in that way. Big thank you to Derek. Thank you so much for your super chat and your continued support. I really do appreciate it. I really do. He said, I hear Paramount is establishing their own animated studio similar to Blue Sky, where every now and then they release a film, not yearly. I'm sure Disney regrets shutting down Blue Sky Studio. I mean, I do think Disney should have kept Blue Sky Studio going. It does feel a little bit like they didn't maybe want the Disney brand connected with it. But I do think it was a mistake not keeping that kind of going and giving Disney maybe that's the problem. Maybe they didn't want the idea of there being a subclass Disney animated movie series franchise kind of thing. That maybe they're like, no, Disney animation has to be really good or it's not at all. And we don't want to cheapen it. Maybe that's what they thought. I do think, and I will be completely honest, I think Paramount having an animated studio making movies is good for us. It's good for us consumers. It gives us more choice. It gives kids more options, gives families more options. More importantly, it gives more competition to Disney, which means Disney and Pixar have to be better. They have to get better. They have to keep giving us better stories, better animation, and they have to be better. And I think that is good for us. If Disney was the only player in town, we would be getting a lot more like lackluster content. When they got a little bit, let's say, blasé about their success, hence we went into the era of the movies that didn't do very well. But yeah, and that's exactly as Aaliyah says there. It is good. It's good for Disney, and it's good for us Disney fans. And you can 100% enjoy an animated movie from another company. You know, yeah, you can love Disney, but you can love DreamWorks. You can love Smurfs. You can love whatever you like. Do not feel obliged to just like one franchise. You can like Marvel. You can like DC. You can like them both. You can like WWE. You can like AEW. You can like all of it. You don't have to put yourself into fanboy zones or whichever one. If you're an Xbox, you can have an Xbox and a PlayStation and a Nintendo. You can do whatever you like. You don't have to pick a side. But again, thank you so much for that, Derek. I really appreciate that. I'm just going to finish off some of these done ones. Bubbuck says, there are rumors that Disney will buy the Red Zone. Do you think this will happen? And if so, will it happen before the launch of ESPN? There has been reports that there's been ongoing negotiations for ESPN Media, so ESPN to like buy out, merge with NFL Media. So that would include Red Zone, which would be a massive get for ESPN. It's a perfect way for ESPN to keep hold of some of the NFL. Aaliyah says, Eyes of Conda will premiere on August, therefore there's a chance that Thunderbolts might not be on Disney Plus till September. So I always had a theory that Thunderbolts could arrive on Disney Plus like this week, like the end of July. But with Fantastic Four, I think they might hold it off until end of August. Maybe even early September. Yeah. I think Eyes of Wakanda moving forward might have opened the gate for Thunderbolts at the end of the month. 100%. Miles says, okay, we kind of just, how might Paramount's, yeah, we kind of just dealt with that one. As far as John Lasseter, as far as I'm concerned, I think people need to let that guy go. You know, he was let go from Disney for a reason. And the reports and stuff, I think sometimes it's just a case of we need to let some new people have a go. Can't keep running back to the old ones, especially when there's, you know, we don't know the really truth of what happened. Kelly says, what are your favorite memories of Malcolm, Jamal Warner, and Ozzy Osbourne? So for me, Malcolm was very much, I grew up watching The Cosby Show each and every week on Channel 4. I grew up on The Cosby Show. So he was always that to me. He was always Theo. That's who I grew up watching him. And Ozzy Osbourne, I didn't really know about him really too much until the Osbournes series came along. I remember watching it. I remember being on a Hollywood tour while I was out for WrestleMania one year, and we went around the house and kind of thing. So, I mean, I like the Osbournes family series. I'm not a fan of the music, I'll be honest. So, but I know my brother-in-law and sister-in-law, they loved Ozzy Osbourne and also Hulk Hogan. And they met them and kind of they were constantly going to gigs and stuff. Last few pre-done questions, and I'll be live for the rest of the show. Babak says, I know that Disney is scaling back its shows, but I do wish they do a spin-off show focusing on the Future Foundation. Without Fantastic Four would be too expensive. I just don't think we're going to get anything like that right now. I just think we're going to get a lot less. That era is over. I think we need to go back to the idea now. You're going to have mainstream movies, and TV series are probably going to be Netflix. I like the Defenders. Basil says, should the studio scale a little bit back on making theatricals? I don't think so. I think every movie should be released in cinemas, and then they all go to streaming and digital and just make more money. I think that's best. So I don't think they should scale back on them at all. I think they should put them all out there. Barbara Trolling says, do you think that Disney Plus perks should offer free shipping? I don't know where these sneezes have come from. I haven't sneezed for months. Do you think Disney Plus perks will offer free shipping on Shop Disney? I would love them to, but even if it was just a free offer here and there, maybe they don't want to do it all the time because they don't want to be, it'll probably cost them a lot in, like, I just want a fridge magnet. I just want a packet of Lorcana or whatever it is. Because I used to love that about Disney Life, where I could just order like a £20 order and have it delivered. And it was great. And the simple truth is, and this is honestly the big thing, without having those free deliveries, I completely started slowing down how much stuff I brought from the Disney store when I had to spend 50, 60 quid on packaging or spend £5 on postage. And buying from Disney store, buying from the US one, that was a nightmare because you used to get hit with customs. So the only time I think like they used to do like a twice a year sale. I'd buy a load of like Divine Animations here when they were in, and I would buy them then. Matt says, if Paramount sales, what part of Paramount do you think Disney would buy, if anything? I think they're probably going to sell off some of the channels. I don't think Disney want any of the linear stuff. And I don't think Disney is in a situation right now where it can buy stuff like that. And I don't think it needs it. And I don't think it needs the attention. I just don't think that's the market they need to go for right now. Tim says, is A Very Jonas Christmas set to still come out for Disney Plus in December, or is it going to get pushed back? If they have to push it back, it's going to go back another year. And they've already filmed it. It's a cheap TV show to make, a cheap movie to make. It will still come out. But again, what's the point in promoting a Christmas movie in July? Even though they've started putting the Christmas food and chocolates out in supermarkets. So I'm going to be looking at this week. But there is no point in doing any promotion for Christmas movies until at least October, November. It's too early. I've got the fan on because it's too hot. Bubbletronic says, do you think Disney will ever go back to Disney Plus like Warner Brothers Discovery is doing with HBO Max and split into free apps again? No, I don't think so. I don't think that will happen. Last question. Tim says, why does Disney Channel live action shows and linear TV then show on Disney Plus months later, for example, Electric Bloom? I don't know if this is something to do with some contract that's in place for the Disney Channel. There must be something in place with the linear companies, or they are trying to put the movie through the Disney Channel books rather than Disney Plus. I don't know. It's very weird. Very weird. Okay, we're now on the live ones. Kenan, thank you so much for your super chat. You guys are awesome today. Disney announced that Futurama will stream all episodes on Hulu on Disney Plus and air on FFX or FXX. Do you think it's a good or a bad idea? Good idea. Why not put it out on FXX? I think that's a good move. Put it out on linear as well. Futurama is a long-standing show that originated on linear. Put it out there. People are paying for cable. Let them watch it. With regards to putting it out as a binge drop, good. This whole idea of trying to do weekly TV shows is not working for Disney. They are competing with Netflix and Amazon and all the rest of it. And unfortunately now the Nielsen charts and the streaming charts are now the benchmark. So whenever Disney puts out a show that doesn't get onto the Nielsen charts or doesn't get onto any of the streaming charts, it is branded a failure. And unfortunately, because just the way that Netflix does its binge drops, they can collect up those minutes. Now, I do think dropping 2-3 episodes at once at the beginning is a good way of doing it. But Futurama just dropped a lot. I don't think the interest week to week probably isn't there. I think the audience is changing, and we're getting into the thing of Disney has realized that, the weekly show format is great for some shows, but it's not good for all shows. And I think it's just the way the world is going on that one. Miles says, I think it's good since it attracts new viewers. Yeah, I think they'll get into it. I'm just going to go up a little bit and just see if I've not missed any questions on the live chat here. Matt says, what country do you want to see more shows made from put on Disney Plus? England, UK. Put more of our stuff on. That's definitely it. I know it's different, yet it's perception. I'm wondering if there's a concerning angle. I'm not too sure what that is. Oh, I've just realized there's a few more questions up here. We did that one. Do you think we'll get a Fantastic Four collection? We'll probably get one when the movie's about to drop onto Disney Plus in 3 months' time. When do you think we'll see the first trailer for the Star Wars movie? I mean, I wouldn't do it till either Avatar or Super Bowl. The movie doesn't come out till May. I would do it for them. That's when I would pop it out. Miles says, if Disney and Warner Bros. To re-release the Prestige in cinemas, what would be the key benefits for it? Money. Just money. They obviously want to get more money. That's the key benefit from it. Kayla says, I don't think WWE will screen all their pay-per-views in cinemas, just select ones. It depends how many people go, whether or not they think it's worth it. Thank you so much for your super chat, Matt. You guys are rocking today. When ESPN and Hulu fully merge, do you think that's going to be done? Do you think there's going to be done, or not sure? Again, I think ESPN is not probably going to do a full merger with Disney Plus in the United States in the same way, because obviously they're trying to get you to pay $30 a month for it. So that's an upcharge. If they have to put ESPN fully into Disney Plus in the United States, that means the price of Disney Plus has to drastically increase. And I don't think they're yet there yet. Maybe if they lose the rights over the next few years to more shows, they might be able to bring the price. They'll have to bring the price down or merge it because of competition, especially if Netflix and Amazon get more and more into sports. Then they might be like, look, we are going to have to just compete with it that way. Internationally, obviously in Latin America and Australia, they've already got ESPN's already included in Disney Plus. I'm hoping we're going to get it here in the UK. I'm hoping in the fall, because we must be getting close to it. But again, thank you so much for that. Matt says, I guess the way that Nielsen delivers streaming racing based on minutes viewed really doesn't favor the weekly releases that Disney is trying. Yeah, it just, every time they do these binge drops, it shows, like even Ironheart was able to make it onto the list. And instantly, the view that Ironheart is a failure kind of disappears a little bit, because it's like, oh, people watched it. It did make the chart. If they did it weekly, look at what Skeleton Crew never made it. It never made it on the list, and it was deemed a failure in that way. Right, let's just go back up here. Sometimes you find whole TV shows on YouTube. Yeah, you do. Some of it as well. They're just trying to make money off those TV series. Kaylee says the MCU never left. It's just a fan became a bunch of puberant babies who don't know what they want. I think there's a couple of things going on. I think there is superhero fatigue. I do think there is that. I think you've got also audiences that have grown up on the MCU, and they're used to having this level of movies and shows that they are used to this much higher level of quality that maybe like myself, I didn't have that. I grew up on a very different era of superheroes where, the stuff that's being made is a lot better quality than that. And also, I think there is just this thing of, there is, unfortunately, social media, and I say this a lot, it feeds on negativity. People get more likes and more retweets and more money for being negative. And unfortunately, that definitely skews social media. If you come out on your social media and you say Fantastic Four is awesome, crickets. You go out there and say Fantastic Four is awful, you are going to get lots of comments, and it's just simple engagement. I predict ESPN and Fox One will launch late August. Yeah, 100%. Do you think Disney needs more reality TV shows? I do. I do think they do. I think we need to see more of them. I think there needs to be regular ones. I think that audience isn't necessarily being delivered enough. They are delivering things. We obviously get like Secret Lives of Mormon Wives, and like we had obviously Kardashians. I do think we need more of that kind of stuff, because we don't have to watch it. As long they are one of the most watched TV shows, they need that stuff. I do think maybe if they can get rid of A&E, they might then be able to be like, look, we need like some like reality TV kind of some cheap TV stuff just to fill it up, and they can also put it on Freeform and do things like that. Okay, so since both Doomsday and Secret Laws were released during Christmas season, I could see promos of how Doom ruined Christmas one year and where they that would make sense. Yep, so we did do that one. Kenan says, do you think Netflix should cut back on its originals? I think they need to be smarter. I do think they need to be smarter with what they're doing. I think they've had a tendency to just be like, Netflix, yeah, your show's ordered. You know, it's that kind of thing of they were just kind of saying yes to everything. So Suna says, what will happen with Hulu for the rest of 2025? Probably absolutely nothing. It will just stay as it is. Aaliyah says, Hollywood likes Netflix money, yet they're sidling. Also, look at the investing in IMAX alternative because of their Netflix deals, and it holds Netflix back from winning Best Picture at the Oscars. I think there is this big thing of Hollywood has had an established business for so long that going all in on Netflix, and this is the key thing, they tried it and they failed. Disney and how many of the studios went all in on streaming and it failed, and then they all had to start backtracking because unfortunately they couldn't give up what they couldn't give up linear and they couldn't give up theatrical without hitting their bottom line, and they weren't willing to do that. Mara says, could Disney activate 20th Century Animation as a spiritual successor to Blue Sky Studios, and their adult focus comes under? I mean, I do think it would make sense to use the 20th Century branding a bit more. What franchises for Disney movies for? What are the? I don't quite know what that means. Sorry. Competition is good. We did that one. Oh, thank you very much, Matt. When ESPN and Hulu merge, do you think that there will be any playoffs? Some people. When ESPN and Hulu merge, do you think there'll be some playoffs? Some people. I'm guessing you mean layoffs. They have already been laying people off at Disney at the kind of the tech end and the Hulu side. There will no doubt be either they've already done some or they will do more when they do combine, because it makes sense to. If you can merge all over it is, but if you're closing down all those servers that are running Hulu and the app developers and the workers on it, you're not going to need them. They do seem to have kind of aligned most of the content creation side of things, so it doesn't really make much difference. But there is going to be layoffs for sure, like advertising and PR and stuff. You know, you're going to be bringing those teams together. Probably, they might try and reduce it, but yeah, they're going to try and save some money there for sure. Matt says, what do you think is going to happen streaming in the next 5 years? Less. We're just going to see less. I think we're going to see all of the studios making fewer shows, but better shows. I think we're going to start seeing that happening a bit more. I think they just realized they were just making too much stuff and stuff was getting buried. So I think we're going to see less. And that's the key thing. And some more consolidation. I don't think we've got there yet. I think Warner Brothers and Paramount are at a point where I think one of them or both of them are going to get snapped up or stripped apart for parts. And they will get... And I think Stars as well. I think there's going to be some of the smaller ones will eventually get wiped out. Matt says, a counter argument to my previous question is that Disney Plus subscribers still need to pay separately to add the Hulu content instead of having it just together. They need to, 100% they need to consolidate. And that's how they're going to get around it. Mara says, what do you think the Skydance film would benefit Paramount's theatrical animation plans, including... I think ultimately, if you've got the two companies together, they're going to be more focused on getting bigger and better movies, but also they need to cut costs because it's going to cost them money to bring all this stuff together. It's just going to make them a bigger player, and that's probably good for them. Matt says, I think Disney realized the old Marvel television model with shows like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Netflix shows with lower budgets and less direct connections to the movie worked. I think the trouble is, I think Feige and Marvel Studios didn't like the fact they didn't have full control over the TV series and didn't like some of the stuff that was going on with it. So I think if we look at it from the creative side, I think Marvel have worked out that there were benefits of doing it separately from a creative point of view. And also then Kevin's still going to have he'll still be able to go, no. You're not encroaching on that character. This is what you can do. You can reference these events because, I'm sure they will they might interlope with like some of the Avengers stuff. But I think they also realize that TV and movie are different. And also you can make $100 million or you can make billions of dollars on a movie. You don't do that with TV in the same way. I also think costs. I think they realized Marvel got a little bit cocky in the fact that they didn't think they thought their farts stank and that they could make TV better than anybody else. And I think they realized they couldn't. And I think they realized that TV is TV because it has a format that's been around for a long time, and they thought that they could redevelop it and do it differently. And then they realized they couldn't. I don't think they realized how to format a TV show. I don't think they knew how to spread it out and make, in doing these TV shows, and let TV shows need people to connect with them regularly. And I don't think doing one TV series with a new character every 6 months was a way of connecting with an audience consistently. I think Feige got rid of it initially since it was made by Perry Mutter and Loeb, and Feige absolutely hated it. I think there was a lot of power and control in it. I think that was the problem for it. Definitely. Thank you, Lester, for your super chat. Thank you so much for that one, and a big thank you to Neelam for your super chat. You guys are awesome today. You guys are absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I really can't anticipate my thank you for everyone for supporting me. It really does mean a massive amount. Let's see here. Oh yeah, so Ike tried to fire Kevin during the pre-production of Captain America: Civil War. Yeah, but he was against Captain Marvel and Black Panther. He was very much like, he didn't want any of that stuff to happen. Whether or not Disney and Marvel went too far the other way and did that whole new different thing and went too far to the other side. We could all say many shows and movies kind of went in that direction, and now we're kind of coming back to the middle a little bit. But I also, you want to see that. Black Panther's an awesome character. You want a bit of diversity in it. Alina says Christmas in July. That seems to be a marketing thing. Hallmark Channel definitely takes advantage of it. Yes, there is definitely a thing with it, and I think people like it. And the Christmas stuff is starting to sleep into the stores, and I don't know. It just kind of, to me, it devalues it a little bit, because I love Christmas, but I don't. It's Christmas is Christmas, and I like to at least get to at least December before I kind of start on think of getting too much into it. Let's see what else we've got here. Kelly says, I can see Allison licensing movies from Paramount to Marvel. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of stuff dropping on there from different places. Paramount is much worse than Iger says. Yeah, they're very different. Yeah, it got to the point where Marvel Studios was hesitant about keeping the old Marvel television projects canon. Daredevil Born Again was going to be less connected. I think the trouble is there was a little bit of, this is mine. These are mine now. These are my toys. I'm not using the old stuff. I didn't have full control over it. It's not I didn't make them, so I don't want them connected. And I think they thought the multiverse was going to be their way of getting around it. And I think they had this, I think it's like with a lot of this stuff. I think they're a little bit too close to it. I think they thought of the multiverse as something that they could tell all these different stories and do all these different characters and bring all this stuff together, and it was all going to work. And I don't think they realized that the mainstream audience is confused as hell and doesn't understand it and is just turned off. I am actually looking forward to Secret Wars, whether we get a reset and we move forward with a single platform of a single timeline again, because I don't like all this stuff. I never have liked it. Bob Iger helped reinvent Disney. Yeah, a very, very, very good book. Yeah, we did that one. To finish my super chat, when do you think ESPN and Hulu merge? Do you think Disney will add or buy any other thing else? I don't think so. Yet. Elias says it didn't reach the overall chart yet, but it did reach the original chart, something Daredevil wasn't able to do. Exactly. Because that binge drop made people watch it. I think had they dropped Daredevil all at once, it would have made that chart. If Disney Plus does choose to abandon the weekly release model, they need to make more and cheaper content to sustain the binge drop method. 100%. And that's I think that's where the Andor season 2 idea and maybe the Ironheart idea is, they're testing it to see if it works. And that might be what they go. But again, if we're going to get fewer shows in the future, they can probably do it. I mean, I wouldn't be at all surprised with Daredevil if we start getting 2 or 3 episode drops each week for like a month. And again, they're going to be less reliant on Marvel and Star, because up till now, Marvel and Star Wars has been the thing keeping people in place. I just realized the time. Miles says, do you think Paramount's... Okay, I think we've done that one a few times. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Les. I didn't see your message for some reason. I couldn't see how... but I see now Disney Plus needs to condense into Hulu with all the shows that everyone wants outside of the US. 100% agree with you, Lester. They need to... bringing Hulu in the US is going to be a huge, huge benefit on so many levels. It's going to make... They're going to be able to save money, and it's going to be able to become a killer app against Netflix and Amazon. They've been playing with it. They're toying with it. They're getting you lot used to it. And you can see where they're going. You can see what they're doing now. And so when they do it, people will be a lot less shocked. If they just said 2 years ago when they introduced Hulu on Disney Plus and just went, okay, we're adding in Hulu now, the audience would have been like, we can't do that. It's for kids. Now you guys aren't going to care the same way. But again, thank you so much for your support today. That was fantastic. Thank you so much. Bobatronic says, do you think some content from ESPN direct-to-consumer will be on the ESPN app and not on Disney Plus like ESPN? I think if you are subscribed to the ESPN thing, you will get access to all the content for either app. I think it's more just the ESPN app is going to have the news and the gambling and stuff in there. Matt says, what franchises could they make more money movies from? I'm going to be very clear on it. I think Disney are a little bit... We're going to get into the same problem that we had before, where I think in 3 years' time, we're then going to have so many movies based on other franchises that they're going to bury all them into the ground. I think they really need to kind of work on a strategy to kind of space out the franchises a little bit. Allow them a little bit more originality. You know, if you're going to put out, like, I don't know, say you're putting out 2 animated movies a year, you put one out on a franchise, you do one new. If you're putting out summer blockbusters, you know, we need some new blockbusters as well. I think that's the key thing. It's like you look at like this summer in terms of blockbusters, everything is just franchises and established, and there's nothing new and exciting. It's why people are turning to anime. Matt says, do you think Disney is going to buy... Do you think there needs to be more independent films? Yes, I think so. I think that'd be good. Mark says, what did you think of Michael Glatcher's score for the Fantastic Four? I love that theme music. I've been listening to the album over the last week while I've been doing my articles. And Fantastic Four. I just love that whole music. It's great. It's awesome. Matt says, do you think they cancelled the Orville too fast? Yes and no. I love that show, but I think the problem is it's an expensive show. I don't think it brings in the viewership. And realistically, the cast and stuff are off doing other jobs. I thought it was great, but I also think it's maybe time just to let that one go. It seems like a super long show because of the super chats. I don't mind. I'm fine with super chats. You guys are just being amazing today with the super chats. It's fantastic. Miles says, do you think the 20th television and 20th television animation needs a new logo since the current one has been used in various incarnations since 2007? No, I think keep it simple. Keep it effective. People know what it is. You want to have the... And obviously it's a bit shorter for television. No, keep it the same. Right. On that note, guys, thank you so much. I think we've reached the end of the questions. This is the final call. Again, a huge thank you for all of your support. I again want to say a huge thank you to Miles, Matt, Derek, Khaled, Neelam, also Lester. Thank you so much for your super chats today. You guys are awesome. A big thank you to everyone in the live chat. Big thank you to all the supporters. And again, as I said, it really does make a huge difference in making sure that the YouTube channel and the website and stuff can continue. And yeah, again, just a huge thank you. I'll be back this time next week with another Q&A. I will say the week after, it's going to probably be on a Saturday because I've got a big Warhammer tournament. So I will be, that's in 2 weeks' time. Babatronic says, what is the difference between what Warner Brothers tried to do with Max and Disney is trying to do with Disney Plus? I think the problem was trying to put Warner Brothers Discovery or Discovery content was on a very different level to what Max was. And I don't think they really, and I don't think it helped them not fully committing to not getting rid of Discovery. I think that might have, they kind of, again, they try to have their cake and eat it. And I don't think that worked very well. But anyway, thank you again for everyone for today, for your super chats and for your comments and everything. So again, huge thank you. I'll be back next week, same time, same place. Huge thank you to everyone. And on that note, guys, thank you very much. See you guys soon. Laters. Tally ho.